welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while, but I'm back and I'm kicking off my first video of the year with a journal flip through. So this is a completed journal flip through. This is my completed junk journal. This is what it looks like. It's really full, it's really heavy, and I'm calling it done. Even though there could be a few pages in here that I could add things to, I'm going to call it finished because it's to the point where I don't want to put anything else in here because it's going to end up too chunky to store. It's like right on the verge of being too chunky for me. So I'm calling it done and I'm ready to move into a new junk journal. And so today I wanted to take you through the pages of this one just to share some ideas, some inspiration, and just go through each page together. You may have already seen some of the pages in here on junk journal with me videos on my channel, but there's probably a lot of pages that you haven't seen as well. I was in this journal through all of 2025. So I actually began it the very end of 2024 and I finished it the very beginning of 2026. That is a really, really long time for me to be in a journal of this size. Usually I'm in a journal like this for 3 to 4 months. And if you're wondering, I make my journals myself. So I'm able to make them quite big and fit a lot of pages in here and then bulk them up quite a lot. So this journal is handmade. I don't know why exactly it took me such a long time to fill this particular journal up. I think it was just because 2025 for me it just felt really busy. It just went by faster than I could sort of catch it and capture it. And so I probably skipped around, like missed a lot of time and a lot of events and things in my journaling because of that. So for 2026, I want to realign my journaling goals and that focus for me and make sure that I'm doing more junk journaling. So I'm hoping to get a lot more journal with me videos out there. That also kind of helps to keep me accountable with my journaling because then I can work and journal at the same time. I do want to say though, if you are someone who gets really inspired, picks up a journal and you journal really consistently for weeks or months or days or whatever it is, and then you get busy and you forget your journal or you just don't have time to journal, and then when you come back to it or you want to come back to it, you don't know where to start, you don't know whether to start a new journal or to continue with your old journal, I would deeply encourage you just to pick up the journal that you left off. I think it's very easy to want to pick up an entirely new journal and start an entirely new journal every single time you get consistent with the habit. We all get busy sometimes, even if you're a really chronic journaler. There's going to be periods of your life that are too busy or that you just miss. And I think it's okay to have little gaps of time in your journal, whether it's a few days, a few months, a few weeks, or even like a year. Who cares? You can pick up your old journal and you can just pick up where you left off and continue on. And that way, every time you get in the mood for journaling, every time you get consistent with journaling, you're working towards actually filling and completing a journal instead of just starting a few pages and then wanting to throw that journal out because you didn't finish it. Let me take you through all the pages in this journal. If you want to learn more about making your own journal, check out my YouTube channel. I have heaps of tutorials and ideas and flip throughs and all of that good stuff. But if you want to see each little page, stick around. So this journal, as I said, is pretty full and you probably can't quite tell just by looking at it, but it's at the point where it's starting to not want to close fully. So that is my cue to stop journaling and to start a new journal. On the first page of my junk journals, I usually like to have a little note where I write where I started the journal and when I finished the journal so that I have a rough time period. I don't always date my journal pages, so this kind of helps me to know what year or what kind of rough time period the journaling was done. In this particular journal, I forgot for whatever reason to write the start date, and so later on in the year I just started collecting stickers on the first page, and these particular stickers are my own. I started making my own stickers and paper kits in 2025, and so these were a lot of my tester stickers that I just sort of collaged over the page. Now, because I don't have that time period written in the beginning, I ended up just adding that in the back. So I have the year at least that I journaled in this book. Some of the pages are pretty plain and I might just skip by some of those pages that I haven't really filled up with things. but I just keep random bits of packaging, random bits of stickers and junk and mementos from my everyday life. So here's a few really beautiful base pages that I didn't fill because the book got too chunky. The next few pages here are about my son heading off to high school, which is just mind-blowing to me, but all of these pages here are just about that. So he is entering his first year of high school this year. So I included some recent pictures and some older pictures just to sort of compare how much he's grown, and then some pictures of us together and us as a family. So a picture of me and my son at his farewell dinner. I've included some pictures of him and some of his best mates. And then I also kept I kept a little place card from his farewell dinner, and there's just some other little random bits that I've stuck all around the page. So this is from like an assembly where he got an award, like a special award at the end of the year. And then this was a receipt from his uniform order. So just random stuff like that I like to just keep, and when I can, if I have lots of things that go together, I place them down onto a page, but very often you'll only have sort of one thing, and you can still build a page off of that with very little. This was actually one of the first pages that I did in this journal, and I think it may have been in 2024 potentially. So I did a little bit of painting in here, I did some journaling, I kept a little token, the coupon for the rides at the fair, and then I just stuck some pictures. And then I can't remember what I put in here. Oh, so in here I've just done a little bit more written journaling. What I've been doing for my photos is I take most of my photos on my iPhone, like most of us do, or just on your phone that you carry around with you. So because most of my photos are taken on my phone, it's very convenient to print the photos from my phone, and I've been using the Instax mini link. This isn't sponsored, but I always get a lot of questions about the Polaroid pictures. So you can take a photo on your iPhone and then you can print it on the Instax mini photo paper with the mini link, and it looks like you've taken it on like an Instax camera. So I really like the way that that looks, and that's what I've been doing for my photos. On this page, I just started collecting different lolly and chocolate wrappers, and then I've also added like a few random wristbands and tickets and receipts and stuff, and then I just like put some stickers all over. So any like really pretty food wrappers, chocolate wrappers, or anything with an interesting texture, I always just like to keep bits of stuff like that. So this page is not really journaled on. Here I've just kept a few little bits from my kids' school. This was a spread where I did a few pages journaling about like a picnic day with my kids at the park. I've kept things like tea wrappers, and I've tucked my written journaling inside. I've just used any bits of paper and decoration and stickers and things that go well with the theme or with the feeling of the page. And then I've also added some little paintings on the top of the page. So in this particular spread, you'll see a lot of like arty pieces. These were some paintings that I did for a digital kit that is in my Etsy shop. It's called Teddy Bear's Picnic. And so actually this was an invitation I made for my sister, and then I turned it into a whole kit because I loved how it turned out so much. But we've got like a flip out seed packet here, which I've used to hide some more journaling in the page, and then I've just done some more writing directly on the page, and then just like overloaded the page with stickers. And on this next page, I did most of my written journaling as well, added another photo, and then I used some paints, and I painted a border all around the page. I also like to include things like little snippets from storybooks or children's books that have illustrations or dictionary meanings that kind of go well with that particular journaling. And then I also like to add quotes as well if they are fitting for the page. This cute little teddy bear is also a part of the Teddy Bear's Picnic paper pack. So he actually pulls out from his little quilt here, and there's room to do journaling, or you can put a photo or whatever you like in there, and I think that's just so cute. So he goes in there, and then there's an envelope underneath there. And then moving on to the next spread, this is an entirely different spread. So this was documenting my son's bedroom, kind of like a bedroom makeover, but he also changed rooms. So he moved into like the guest room in our house, and we did it up for him while he was away at camp, which was really nice. So it was a nice surprise for him. And I've just decorated the page to kind of include photos of the room and then also talk about him and use decorative bits to like help tell the story of the room. And then I've also kept some ephemera from the room. For example, this is a paint chip of the color that I picked for his room, and then this is the packaging from a little like brass tennis racket that I found at the thrift store, which was a nice little decorative piece to add to his bedroom. Then on this page I made this little piece here that says movies to thrift, and then I just wrote basically a lot of chick flicks all around there. And so I thought it might be nice to thrift and have a small library of chick flicks and like old classic movies that I really like to watch over and over. And that way you don't have to try and find them on different streaming services, and you can just watch them on the PlayStation or whatever. When you open up this piece of paper here, this was actually a beautiful little card that my daughter made for me. And so because she had made this card for me, I used it to sort of document about her, and I included some pictures of her when she got her ears pierced last year, and then I did a little bit of journaling straight on top of the card and just decorated it and included another little picture of her when she got her hair cut. And this piece actually folds out again this way, and so over here underneath I've just done a bit of a collage with some stamps and just some random bits of like ephemera from life, just really junky bits, so stuff that would probably usually end up in the bin. I think a lot of people think, what's the point of keeping stuff that would normally end up in the bin? And you're not wrong. When I look through old, if you've ever had the pleasure of looking through really old scrapbooks, photos or photo albums or scrapbooks from times past, I find it's really, really interesting to look at like old advertisements and old stamps and old handwriting, anything that's from the past, because things do tend to change, and I just find it really interesting. And so sometimes I think, well, I may as well just stick this down on my page, and it might be something that's interesting to look back on later. In here I have a little notebook cover. So this was a part of one of my kits, and then I actually journaled about the kit and just tucked that inside this little cover, which slips in the glassine envelope. And then this basically was a journal with me video where I was playing around with all the bits in the kit. I was really, really excited to try out the kit that I had designed and was selling in my shop at the time, and the theme was rainy days. So this was like a gloomy few pages using those pieces from the kit. So I was able to include like some recipes, and then there's some photos, and this is from something that came in the mail with this beautiful writing. So it's a little tag from the op shop, just random things that I've collaged together and teamed with some written journaling. This page isn't really used, however I did glue the envelope from the kit on the page, and then I just tucked in a little note inside. The next few pages are birthday celebrations. So this page here was about one of my childhood best friend's birthday when she turned 30, and I just decorated the page with different stickers, and I love how it turned out, even though it was so simple. On the page beside that was documenting my mum's birthday, so we went and had lunch together, and so I've got some pictures of my nieces and then a cute little screenshot of a text exchange, and then these are just some chocolate wrappers which I've stapled to the page. Then the next page is for my sister. So she came over on her birthday and we gave her a cake, and so I love this paper, so I didn't want to cover it all up, so it's just a picture and a little tiny blurb. And then the page beside it is my daughter's birthday, and it's just funny because these birthdays are not close. This is April, this is February, this is April, this was November, and then this is August. But because in my journal I skip around, so Because the journal's handmade, I include pages that are made with scrapbook paper and junky recycled paper and all sorts of things. So if I have a pile of photos from a birthday, I'll flick through the junk journal until I find a page that has something that looks birthday-ish. So if it's this paper, or this kind of went well with this particular birthday party, whatever it is that draws me to that page. And these few pages, I think because of this lovely paper, I just plonked all of the birthday related pages together and just ended up that way. So my daughter's 7th birthday, she's 8 now. This would have been 2024. So November 2024. But I kept like the envelope from one of the cards she got, and I did a little bit of journaling about what we did. We went ice skating. So this is from one of my digital kits, and this is from a Christmas paper pack. And then this little sunflower packet came from one of the gifts she got from one of her sweet little friends who gave her like some plants to plant. And then this paper here in the background is wrapping paper from one of her gifts. The next page is for my son. This was when he turned 10. So I included the game cards from where we went bowling and played putt-putt. So we took a couple of his friends to putt-putt and bowling. So it's fun to keep like those records of who won the game. I obviously took photos on the day, and then this was actually just a piece of like an envelope from something he received at school. That page kind of looks a little bit unfinished, but at least I have like the bare minimum to document that moment for him. This page was for Christmas, the Christmas just gone, and this page is pretty full. It's quite layered up. I used a bunch of really beautiful pieces from American Crafts. I used some wrapping paper that I just kept from previous years. I've used some really bulky alphabet stickers, and then I also was trying out some of my own Christmas stickers that were in my Christmas kit. And so on this page here, I actually put quite a few things in this pocket. So all of these things here slip out of the pocket. So if I take out everything that's in the page, this is actually what the page looks like. So this is the base page. I put a couple of pictures here of my daughter and her Christmas tree that she decorated in her bedroom. And then the largest page slips on top. So this little loose page, I just collaged a bunch of different wrapping paper together, and same on the back. And then I also kept labels of presents and I stuck them all together. I really like how this turned out because there's so much memories and sentiment in this, and I love everybody's different handwriting coming together. It's really cool. So that slips in here. And then the next one is this one. So this page has a couple of loose photos of our gingerbread making, which we do each year. So the red is actually wrapping paper, and then I've stapled on this chocolate wrapper, and then I've stapled 2 photos from Boxing Day on the wrapping paper as well. There are some construction trucks happening close to my house, which really sucks, but I'm gonna continue with the video. But the next thing I'm keeping is this envelope which had a Christmas card in it. This came from my auntie, and again, I think it's just cool to keep like old envelopes. One day this will be old anyway. And then on the back of it, I have stapled a couple of extra pictures. So this is my daughter singing Christmas carols, and then this is from one of the days following Christmas where we were playing some board games with the family. This was the actual Christmas card that came in the envelope, and I just thought it was so cool. It gave me some ideas. So I'm keeping that in here as well, just outside of the envelope. And then I also have this little piece which flips up. This is some old wrapping paper that I've had for a while. It came from my nana's house. She had like a whole roll. And then these are just pictures of the kids at Christmas. Then on the back of this piece, I just gathered up a bunch of little bits of ribbons from all the different presents that were given and received throughout Christmas. I just kept a little snippet of each one, and then I just stapled them together on the back of here. So it's very textured and chunky, but it's kind of cool to keep that as well. Because there's so many bits in this particular page, I have a paper clip holding them so they don't all just fall out. And then on this side of the page, this side of the page is probably a little bit unfinished. I kept this cute little chocolate wrapper because I liked the art on it. And then I also kept a little wish list, which was really cute. And then I don't know why, I could have sworn I journaled on here, but apparently I didn't. So there's a journal card that didn't get journaled on. On this page, I've got some movie tickets. Me and my sister went and saw the new Bridget Jones movie. And so on this page, I actually did a journal with me if you would like to watch it. But I included an old photo, or a copy of an old photo of me and my sister. I did some written journaling, and then I just laid out lots of like decorative pieces really. A quote from Bridget Jones, a little diary dictionary meaning, and just some fun little stickers across the page. This is another birthday spread. So this was when my eldest boy turned 12. And so again, I just kept pictures from his birthday, the things that we did, the places that we went, and then I've just decorated the page with some render bits and done a little bit of written journaling. In the envelope, I've got some more written journaling, and that's just tucked inside the pocket. On the next page, I've just stuck a little piece of a scrap of some wrapping paper, and then a couple of pictures of my kids just playing out and about. And then the next few pages are Christmas again. So I think these are Christmas 2024. So I've just done, like, this is a vintage Christmas carols book which I used to create a page, and I stuck a picture of my daughter singing Christmas carols. I have a few more pictures here from Christmas carols, and then just some family photos and some bits of written journaling and some decorative pieces from some of my digital kits on Etsy. And then I've also kept, so I've got some loose journaling and stuff, but I've also kept like some gift tags from Christmas. This is from some candles that I bought at Christmas time. So just random bits like that that I've used to decorate the page. This page here, the background paper is more wrapping paper that I've kept from Christmas. Really pretty one. And then I've kept like a handmade Christmas card from my daughter. This envelope which has some journaling inside, and then this piece is from one of my Christmas kits, but I've also stuck some wrapping paper on the back. I've just stuck a couple of pictures of my kids under the Christmas tree and done some writing about that. I always tend to have a lot of stuff kept from Christmas. There's always a lot of things that get accumulated, like things from baking, lots and lots of photos taken. So there's lots of different days and memories to document. Also kept pretty little Christmas cards and just done more written journaling inside there. And then the Christmas journaling continues. I think I've just tried to maybe sort of delegate one single page to each different event or memory. So I've got some Christmas light photos up here. I've kept the little jokes from the Christmas bonbons, and then there's some more of those here, more little pieces of wrapping paper, more little labels from Christmas presents, and then these are all pictures from Boxing Day. On this page, I have kept a couple of cards. So this is a cute little card for Mother's Day, and then I've also kept this Father's Day card on behalf of my husband. I'm the collector and the hoarder of paper things, so I've sort of just kept that safe. On this page, this is a photo from a place we went to called Wildnet. So I've got a photo of my kids there. I've just decorated the page with some stickers. Again, I really love this background paper, so I haven't done a lot on top of it, but this is just like a utensil paper pouch, actually from having lunch with one of my friends, and then I stuck the little Wildnets ticket inside there. Here I've just got another photo of the kids with some of their friends. They're all holding a chicken, and then I've just done some journaling, and I've decorated the page with some of my stickers and just random bits that I have floating around. This is my cat themed page where I've just got some really nice little kitty cat themed bits and pieces. So I've been sent some really beautiful cards with cats, and I've done some journaling inside. This is a playing card which has two little kitties on it. It says brother and sister, which is really cute. And then this is a very cute vintage cat from a storybook. I'd actually used this on a cover of a notebook probably like 10 years ago. And when I was going through that stuff and I got rid of the notebook, I just cut the cat out to reuse it again. And then I've done more journaling here on this little card, really cute. And then on this page, so this is from a storybook. This is some of my son's art, and my son who made the art, that's actually a picture of him patting two of our cats. And then this is just a decorative piece from some scrapbook paper. This journaling, I think it's just a bunch of random stuff. I don't exactly remember what I was journaling about, but this again was from some of my digital kits, so playing with some of the pieces from my physical kits and my digital kits, so stickers and stuff, and I just did some different journaling. This is just a picture of my other son with two of our cats, and so it's just like an everyday moment sort of thing. And then here is a goal punch card that came in the physical kit, and being totally honest with you, I completely forgot about this and I did not punch out the goals, but I did improve my sleep, so that slips inside there, really cute. And then this is a full leaf clover which I had pressed for a couple of weeks, and then I put through the laminator and stapled onto this page. This piece came in one of the kits that I sold last year, and it basically just gives you a different prompt to fill out. So you can use it to sort of journal the week, or you could cut it out and use it across lots of different journaling. And so I just filled mine out with a black pen. On this page, I collected a bunch of mail stamps, and so I just glued them all over. And then this was from a Coca-Cola bottle that my husband had picked for me. This is my middle name, so obviously they didn't have my first name, so I kept that label. I just took it off the Coke bottle and stuck it down on the page. And then over here, this is a really pretty little cute note that my daughter had made for me, which I just attached to the page. And because I really liked the paper underneath here, I just stuck it in a way so that you can still look at that pattern. On this page, I have a photo of the ice cream truck and my family buying some ice creams, and then I just kept more packaging. So this is a little label here, and then this is another label here. This is actually from a bottle that I picked up in New Zealand, so I had to keep that. And then this is just, I don't even remember when I had that drink, but I stuck it down on the page and then kind of ran with the bee theme here, and then just decorated the page with some journaling and some more stickers. Another page just with some photos of my kids, and that's what a lot of my journaling is. It's just everyday moments, everyday little photos that I've got on my phone that I like to put down somewhere tangible. So photos of my kids playing at the park, and then these are the actual flowers that my daughter is holding in the photos. So I pressed those for a little while and then just stuck them down on the page and used some clear tape to help secure them. Just use some alpha stamps there, and then there's another piece of a little flower there. Here I also kept another label. So I started really to look for pretty labels like in the pantry and just around the home, and then used my heat tool to actually try to remove them from the bottles when we were done with them. So this was a pretty raspberry label that I thought was really cool. So I got that off as best as I could and stuck it down. And then I feel like all the colors on this page just go together so nice. This was a piece of paper that my friend had stitched some little fabric scraps down the side of, and I absolutely love it. And so I use this as a page by sticking it into the book and then just doing some journaling on top of it. So again, more everyday moments, just my kids literally sitting in the car reading books and drawing, and then my son reading at the table, which is really cute. On the following page, I just kept some tickets from the movies, and then I also journaled about going to see Disney on Ice. So pretty simple page, but lots of nice memories attached. My younger sister came to visit, and when she came to visit, one of her friends was seeing her as well, and then she ended up popping by a few days later and dropping off a few little bits for me, which I thought was so sweet and so thoughtful. She gave me these feathers, and she gave me some other craft like bits and pieces that she had floating around at her parents' house that she didn't know what to do with. So she gave them to me knowing that I'm a crafty girl, and I just thought that was so cute. So I did some journaling about that, and then I stuck the feathers together on this page. Here I've just kept a note from school for my daughter. I've stuck a cute little picture of my daughter on a doily and then put these pretty little snail stickers surrounding it. And then on this page I've again got random bits of junk like these little sugar packets and this little receipt from some food that we'd bought for lunch, and just done some journaling and stuck some stickers and tape and stuff across the page. This is some art that my daughter did and gave to me, and it's so cute. It's a cute like little mermaid cat. So adorable. So I kept that, and then I've got a picture of our kids and some of their friends just having a swim at the lake. I've just decorated that with some of my stickers, and then this is a scrap of some wrapping paper. Here I've painted some very loose quick trees. I've kept a little price tag from something I've got at the thrift store, and then I've just done some journaling directly on the page. Again, some more photos of my kids playing at a different playground. And I've just decorated the page with some more stickers, and then this is another pressed clover, and then this was a cool little bug identification chart which was floating around since forever, and on the back of that I've just stuck all of these cinema tickets again and just stapled them down onto the page. And cinema tickets and any thermal receipts and things that you have will fade, and so what I like to do is just write over one of the tickets what it was, and sometimes I take my time and I trace it really neatly, but this one I've just literally scribbled it over. But at least if these all fade away, I'll be able to know what these tickets were for. We're getting towards the back here now, so this side of the book is very chunky, and then so it's kind of on a slope. But this was a page I did for my birthday at the beginning of 2025. So I did some journaling here on the page. This was a piece from a book which I cut out, and I've used some of my stickers to decorate the page, and then I kept some bits from my birthday. So birthday cards, this was from my sister, and then some photos from the day. So we went to the lake, we had some food, like a picnic, and we just floated around on our floaties. And then I've kept some precious little notes from my kids inside the envelope. This page is quite bulky, but I'm glad I was able to keep those things. Here I've got more stamps. So there's some in here. I can't remember. I feel like somebody gave me these stamps. And so I stuck those on the page, and then I just added to it with more stamps that I found. So these ones actually came in some furniture that I bought off Marketplace. They were just like in the cupboard. And then there's some more that I've cut off envelopes and just glued all over the page. And then these were given to me from my friend. And then this is a lovely little card from JD. So I've just slipped that inside the pocket. Here I've got some ice cream vouchers that we never used, some photos of my kids at the beach, and just like a throwback photo of my daughter when she was a baby. I didn't do any journaling here, but I think that I should. So I've started like a border to do some journaling inside of, and I didn't finish the page for whatever reason, but I've also kept more cinema tickets and receipts, and then another little tag from the op shop. I think towards the back of the journal there's less completed full finished page spreads, and there's just more random bits floating around. So this page has some photos of my boys, one when they were little and a recent one of each of them. And then this is what I'm talking about with random things. I've got like appointment cards, I've got a quote, I've got some business cards that I've kept, some stickers. This page I did as a journal with me, and it was about a way to document some of your trinkets or your keepsakes that you have. So I did this idea where I laid out some of my little trinkets on the table. I took a photo of them, and then I kind of made it like a magazine spread where you put a little letter beside each thing, and then you can write what each thing is or where it came from. That was a really fun way to document some of those things. And then this is a letter from my friend Susan, which I've later attached to the page. And then again, just more of that keepsake journaling. This page doesn't have anything happening with it, but I did keep another label here. This is from Olive Oil, but it had some gold on this label, which I thought was really pretty. So I stuck it down and I put some clear tape over the top. And then I just did this messy quote across the top of that. Here I've kept some of my son's beautiful drawings of these cars. They're so cute, I love them. So he gave these drawings to me and I decided to just cut them down and stick them here in the journal. Now getting to the last few pages, on this page I just stuck down some wrapping paper that came from something I bought from Bespoke Letterpress. It was just like a fridge calendar, but it was wrapped up really pretty. So I kept the wrapping paper. And then we had one of my daughter's friends came for a sleepover, and the next day her mum gave me a bouquet of flowers, which was so sweet and unnecessary. So kind. So I kept some of the packaging from the flowers and I glued it down there. And then this is another lovely little card and note from, this one's from Essie. On the next page, this was my New Year's journaling, actually for 2024, so quite a while back. And on this page I painted fireworks. I included some photos of my family at fireworks. I glued some fabric directly to the page, and then I also put some trims on the page and then just decorated it with stickers. So that was for 2024. And then when you turn the page, here is New Year's 2025. And this page, again, this is a little bit unfinished. I was a bit busy in the holidays, as I'm sure you all were. And so this was sort of the best that I did at the time. I just painted a little bit on the page. I added some stars, kind of representing fireworks. And then of course I added our photos from the day. And then this gorgeous children's book paper, which I didn't put anything on top of because I just loved it. In the last few pages, this is just some scribbles, some planning scribbles, some more there. These were just like planning out my kits and collections. And then in the very back, I've just kept this piece from a parcel. This is when I worked with American Crafts at the end of 2025. And so this was a little card that they sent in the parcel, stuck that down, and then again on the back, this is just a record of the time frame that I journaled in here. So that is my completed junk journal. So very, very full, thick. There's some gaps in time, but there's a lot that I've been able to get down despite being busy. And so I'm still really happy that I've been able to finish this journal, even though it took me the whole year. If you have any questions about this flip through, about the journal that I'm using, anything at all, you can leave them in the comments down below. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. Very soon I will share a show and tell video of the new journal that I've made to move into. And then hopefully soon after that, I'll have some new journal with me videos up on my channel. If you stuck around until the end of this video, thank you so much. If you enjoyed the flip through, please put a thumbs up on this video. That would help my channel out so much. And yeah, I hope wherever you are doing really well. And I will see you again very soon in my next video. Bye.